3 to 4 years ago, when you bid it. Yeah, so I mean, so that's another thing, but I mean, it's designed same fashion, one for another. The other thing to think about on this one was, sanitary was in, so I mean, that was a savings to it. But the roadway, this one's a tough one because it's tying back into existing, and there's some areas that frankly doesn't serve a lot. But it's the one that ties everything back in too. I mean, it's the one that you want in, because then you got the whole loop.
The missing piece of the puzzle.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So I mean, does this make us a little bit concerned henceforth that our next phases are going to be expensive? Absolutely. That's just the way construction prices are right now for sure. But are those interior going to be nice because they're serving dual on every single lot? Yeah. I mean, that's awesome. But it's just, this was the one that you have to tie back in. It's the one to do. I mean, we looked at that too and said, well, could you go in a different fashion? We're sitting on, you got to do it at some point in time. This is the one that makes the most sense to do next. It kind of is what it is.
Yeah. You're serving probably, 250 feet of just no tax road.
Yeah.
And 250 feet
Yep.
of it on both sides, because there's houses on both sides. So you're essentially deadheading that extra 250 feet, and and nothing to support it. And that's hard to do. I mean,
Yep.
you figure out how much especially with our nice wide roads, it's expensive when you put down that much asphalt.
Yeah, I mean, it is expensive. I mean, that's, you're looking at that at
David wanted to
250.
recommend going down to a 20-foot road.
I always bring it up, but I always know it's not true, so.
So this development, I mean, so it's really, it hasn't been anything guaranteed there as far as abatement. I mean, we would just.
No.
We never had it in the first place.
Okay.
I think that it's, is
It might have been
is
a lot.
everybody gonna be happy about it? No, but I think that you have to look at
You gotta be
what do you
realistic
take
about this.
what do you take to drive the project
Yep.
forward? And so, to me, I think it keeps me from having as many.
Keeps us from rejecting the bid.
Yeah, exactly. You've got it.
If we can't afford to pay for it, I don't see we can go ahead, because it makes no sense. If it's gonna cost the taxpayers $100,000 at some point in time to benefit a few people, for their homes and stuff anyway, and that's not fair to the rest of the homeowners and stuff anyway, in any area in town. And
Yeah, but
especially if you
this
vote
isn't,
for the
this isn't any different than Fifth Avenue South. I mean, we're spending $300,000 or whatever on Fifth Avenue.
for an emergency repair.
For an emergency repair. I mean, this isn't any different than that. $100,000 is, in my opinion, not much to develop that area. If that's what the city has to throw into it, that we aren't getting tipped back.
Be well worth it over the years.
Exactly. And,
Way
I mean, we
more.
can talk about that later, but in my opinion, yeah.
That's what I was wondering too.
Look at
I
the peanuts,
just didn't
you know.
want us to renege on a promise that we've already made and then kind of discourage people from, that's all.
Right, but it's not our lots either. You gotta look at, the other part has been Humboldt lots that we developed. These aren't Humboldt lots. This is a private lot that they're developing to sell off themselves too. So there's a different benefit than there was on some of what we're doing in the project. And the city's gonna benefit from it too. There's a little bit different. Because the city couldn't buy those lots. There's some.
So is it my understanding we're not awarding the contract tonight then?
No, I would not recommend you award the contract, because we still have to, the urban renewal plan needs to be passed, because this is being paid for. When I talked to bond counsel, they said, here's the deal, you're essentially obligating yourself towards a contract. You don't necessarily have the authority yet to collect tax increment financing. He said, there's nothing that precludes you from doing that, other than the fact that should something happen and you don't get the urban renewal plan passed, then you've got a project that has no funding source except for general obligation debt. And so she said, it might be just being overly cautious, which is what you pay the attorney for. But she said, my recommendation would be to wait until you get that plan in place so that you are 100% sure. In the meantime, we've got a 60-day lead time on the bid.
You can hold the acceptance of the bids for 60 days from receipt of bid. So that was August 12th, so we do have time.
And then they're void after 60 days?
Yes, yep, then it would be an automatic reject without any issue with the contractor. The one thing I would say is that when you slow down the front end, it's totally justifiable that the contractor can go, okay, you're slowing down
Mhm.
my
Sure.
process too, and that you're probably tacking on some items or some length on the end
At
of the
the
contract.
end of the project.
But at the same time, we didn't think we were gonna get everything done this year either, you know, we were
Right.
hoping to get rocked down. If all we get done is to get, you know, the infrastructure in place and it's graded, that's okay, you know, because what you have done is you're giving yourself
Mhm.
allowance to get a trench compacted, you know, by nature, which is great. So, does not hurt anything. We just will outline it to the contractor that, no, they're not saying no yet. What they're doing is, they're making sure things are in place to allow them to accept your bids.
Mhm.
Right.
Well, what kind of a procedural schedule are you looking at then? Are we going to, you know, be able to discuss this at the next meeting on September 10th and then hopefully move forward, nay or yay at that time then, Aaron? I mean, is that, and then?
I would wait, I would hold off till the 21st is when the urban renewal plan is scheduled for passage.
September, okay.
Because the 21st, you have, right now, we're setting the public hearing and consultation meeting for that urban renewal plan at tonight's meeting. Once that goes through, this is a really painful process whenever you do this. So I have to have that consultation meeting, essentially, I'm the city's representative. Anybody who wants to come in from the school or county that wants to argue that we shouldn't pass it, they can come in at that point. If nothing happens at that point, then I don't need to respond in writing to any objections. Then we move on to the public hearing. Public hearing, everything goes well, you go ahead and move forward with passage and notification and everything along those lines. So you've got this very
Deliberate
rigid,
timeline.
yeah, it's a
Mhm.
very specific timeline that you have to follow by the state code. And so we're just starting that process now, and we'll finish it in September 21st. So I would recommend that we pass on the 21st and have corresponding, I mean, there's still things that we can do. I mean, there's still bond work that has to be done. You know, there's still coordinating with the HAR clause and making sure that everything's taken care of on that. We still have to dispose of Knights Boulevard. I mean, there's still a lot of moving pieces here that are gonna go through. There still has to be a development agreement put in place as far as making sure that we can claw back should they not construct.
That has to
And
be in
so
place.
that would be a minimum assessment agreement that says, you know, if you do not construct in 5 years, then you will accept an assessment of X, and that X would be whatever we need for tax revenue to produce, to pay for the infrastructure. And so that's kind of where the hammer comes in. With the Humboldt County Housing Development Corp., when they constructed, you have aligned interests because the Housing Development Corp. Gets funded by the city and the county, so they're clearly gonna do whatever the city and the county want. And then B, they're also funded, their whole goal is development. Whereas when you're dealing with a private entity,
Mhm.
you know, you may believe that they have the best interests, but you're dealing with a private entity. You know, that you always wanna make sure that you've got a hammer behind it to make sure that you're doing what you want to do. Grace isn't about this. But so we've still got a lot going on, and if we lose a few weeks, I think it's not great, but you know, so we lose a few weeks. The only thing I would say is at this meeting, I do need guidance on what you want to do as far as the abatement, because you know, we have to come to some form of consensus so I know what to do in this time period waiting until September 10th. Because if I need to align it up, or if I need to get rid of it, what you'd like to do moving forward. I mean, do we wanna move forward and just and have the 100,000, you know, out there, or do we want to remove the abatement? I think that's the guidance I need.
Well, I think, you know, one thing you need to talk to
I think you should move
Brian
forward
wants.
and as things develop, see where it goes.
Because you've already had contact with Ryan today about it.
Yeah,
I think you've already
I've
talked
said-
about
I
it.
haven't talked to him.
If we don't have it in place and stuff, and that's, they're aware of that, so I think we just need to see, like, you got 3 weeks for conversations to see where it's gonna go and stuff, I think, so.
Okay.
because it's a pretty big chunk that we give up, ahead of time anyway, that doesn't help pay for what's in
Yeah.
development up there. If we strip it from that, it doesn't allow us to do any more later on, stuff if we wind up at that point, this contract would be totally gone, but,
This isn't the time to quit.
no, it's not,
Well,
but,
let's see
but I
what
don't
happens.
wanna cripple that project either, because, we've got more development up there,
Right.
so by taking it away now, I'm afraid it doesn't allow the next development phase. It could, be another 10, 12 houses up there each time, so.
The only thing
That's
I would say is when you make this decision on the abatement, on whether to move forward with offering abatement or not offering abatement, from what we see, those costs are going to be high into the next phases. And so if you offer abatement here, you're still gonna have an issue in the future where you're going to have to
Got the
not
next
offer
problem.
abatement.
Right.
Because I think the next, whether it's the next phase or the phase after that, there is going to be a wall that we hit where there's not enough tax revenue to support development. This one's very close. I mean, it's somewhere, my conservative numbers came up with, we might be short 100,000, we might be long 50,000. Depending on how those houses develop, how big they are, you put 5 garages on it and prices go up, so, but I am almost 100% sure that we will get a brick wall.
Well, I think I'm pretty sure, the 5 houses that are gonna be built shortly are gonna be very, very nice houses, and they're gonna cost a lot of money. So I wouldn't be afraid, I don't know what's gonna happen on the north side,
Yeah.
but I can guarantee you on the south side, they're gonna be very nice houses. And they're gonna fit right in with the houses that are being built up there right now.
Or beautiful lots, yeah. That's probably some of the nicer lots.
On the
Yeah,
south side.
yeah. So,
Mhm.
I don't have any reservation at all
Of abating that property,
Well,
or?
of thinking that it's not gonna be $100,000.
Mm-hmm.
I think, I think it's one of the best areas that's ever been developed in town.
No,
And
we're
we
not-
have a lot of
right.
very nice
Right.
developments, but
No,
it's
and
gonna be the
that's
best.
not the argument, I guess the only
And I'm not
discussion.
afraid.
No, the only discussion is if it doesn't pay for itself, and then the next development phase doesn't get tax abated, at some point,
Mhm.
Aaron said it's gonna be
Yeah.
anyway, so should it be this one that already doesn't have tax abatement in place?
Are we locked into the same tax abatement?
See,
With
that's
what
a-
with what we've been giving tax abatement?
Yes.
We are.
You cannot,
See, that's what
go
I was
le-
gonna ask.
You cannot go less tax abatement.
You have an urban revitalization plan that identifies specific areas, and the weird thing about tax, well, it's not weird, I mean, it's just unique. Tax abatement, essentially, you have a plan, and it's an entitlement. Everybody who fits into this plan gets it.
For everybody,
Everybody, and so that's like new co-op, we did a tax abatement for them because
Okay.
they were outside of an urban renewal area. Whereas with tax increment financing, you can actually tailor it, you being the council can tailor it and say, okay, I like what you're doing, I think it's gonna add more value to the city, so I'm gonna give you X or Y or whatever. You can change that number based off of your perception of the project. Tax abatement doesn't work that way.
Okay.
Tax abatement, you have a plan, this is your plan.
Mhm.
Somebody reads this and says, hey, I fit into that plan, I'm doing everything you say, you actually don't really have any say. The council, the wording is the council shall issue a tax abatement, and so your hand is forced.
Okay.
So whether or not you like the
Mhm.
project or not, you have to give it. So to change that, you can put anything you want in the plan. I mean, you can't offer more, but you could offer less. But you'd have to do that within the document. We can't do that on a case-by-case basis.
That's my question.
but we could do it for the rest of Eagle Ridge, probably.
Yeah, you could totally, I mean, yeah, you could change.
For that area, we
Yeah.
could start at 65.
Yeah.
That's
Instead
what I
of
was thinking.
85.
Rather than going 20%
Right.
increments and then work our way down after 5 years, what if we started at 10% increments and only did 50, 40, 30, 10, and then back on the tax rolls at that time? That's what I was kind of wondering, if we could adjust it that way, but you're saying we
The
can't.
abatement is actually,
Right.
it's not the same.
That's not the same.
Yeah, the abatement is actually, it's was it 150, first 150 evaluation or 75 roughly taxable valuation. And so, and it's 100% for those 5 years. So you could cut it back to 50 over that 5-year abatement, whatever. But it's a little bit, it's different than the tax increment financing, which we do the 20% steps. You could go to
Mhm.
20% steps if you wanted to. We just have to change that revitalization for that. Like I said, you as the council can do whatever you want to do, but it just has to be within the confines of the plan.
Right. But if we're looking at, if we're talking about phase 3, 5, 6, 8 years down the road or whatever, and we're talking about construction costs that could be up 10% higher than they are today, there could be such a thing that we could not do the 20% increment steps, but we'd have to do more, you know, start out higher, you know, and to help pay for the addition.
Yeah,
You know, that's what I was getting at.
yeah, definitely.
Okay.
What about the price you get for the lots? Does that go toward the
That
sewer?
is, the Housing Development Corp has used that in the past just for housing projects within Humboldt. And so, it's gone towards, I think some of the monies went to, building trades. I think some of the money's gone, well, or the original money went to paying off the lot. I mean, when Humboldt County Housing bought that area, it was like $350,000, I think, roughly, to buy the land. And so the first lot revenue went in to pay that off, and then any of the subsequent profits that have been made off that have just gone towards projects within the city. It's earmarked for just city expenses, but you could, I mean, that's the other thing, is you could ask the Development Corp to
Help
chip
pay
in.
for the infrastructure.
Yeah, based off of what the profits are off of the land, and help pay for that. So, I don't think there's any reason that would be an issue either. The
Yeah.
only thing that, you know, I think you'd wanna treat, Ryan the same as you treat the other side, and so trying to balance that out a little bit is the only thing I would say.
Because Ryan already owns
Yeah.
all that.
But here's the thing, I mean, his development of that land, I mean, he was originally not gonna develop it, and that is not in the city's interest, because then, instead of 250 feet of dead space, you've actually got 550 feet of dead space, where you have no taxable valuation on that south side.
If he
So
didn't develop
he
that
didn't
If he
south
did
side,
not
right.
do it,
So
yeah.
him making the
Right.
choice to offer that land up rather than just keeping it as
Right.
like a backyard or something.
Mhm.
You know, that sort of spacing between housing and the lack of population density creates a very expensive infrastructure when you have one house on
Mhm.
550 feet. And so that's a good thing. I think and that's one of the things, I mean, I've been working with him on this project, and I think that, you know, initially, I don't think he was completely sold on developing it. So, it is to his credit that that they've been willing to work with us.
When they got a road, otherwise.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't need it.
Right, no, he
His
doesn't,
house.
no. Right.
So,
But we certainly want to treat him fair, I mean, because
Yeah.
so whatever,
Mhm.
I think we want to leave some of the policies in place for him.
But we'll have to change the policy to go into that lot, correct?
yes, those
That
four are
lot
currently
doesn't have
not
one.
in the
Right.
revitalization
Right.
plan, they would have to be added, which, I mean, it's not a big deal to add or subtract, it's a simple ordinance change. It's just a matter of, you know, making the decision as a group on where you want to go with it.
Mhm.
But even if you had never bought those lots, we would need to eventually put that line in to feed the rest of the
Some point.
neighborhood.
Yep.
When he bought the lots and chose to develop them, it did change the course of where we went. We originally were planning on going up Maple, because Maple had the water and sewer in it. But once that bottom part was offered for development, I mean, it's one of those things you seize on the opportunity, because that's a high taxable value that's gonna be on those homes, as opposed to the inside homes, where they're gonna get smaller. And so you're gonna get more bang for your
So Maple is the north-south street through there, and then,
The furthest east is North-South Street, the other one's
Okay.
Burr Oak.
so we wouldn't have really focused on finishing the horseshoe as of just yet. Would have been down the road further. Mhm.
Which probably would've made the neighbors on the north side less happy.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, I mean, that's why, it's really nice, I mean, that.
From a plowing standpoint, from, you know, just traffic movement standpoint,
Mhm.
getting the horseshoe finished is best. Believe me, the street guys do not like cul-de-sacs, especially gravel cul-de-sacs.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm. So you said you needed a motion either to anything,
Not-
on
not
anything
table.
tonight at all?
Not yet.
Table.
No,
Just
just table
table.
till the 10th?
21st.
21st.
Oh, the 21st, okay.
Yep.
Which our next meeting would not be till the 24th though, right?
No, it'd be the 21st.
First.
Well, I thought,
The 10th.
Oh, I'm
21st of
sorry.
September is.
even
that
though our
Monday.
next meeting is on the 10th, that's not
Yeah.
that's not a Monday, I take it then?
No, we had to move that because it's Labor Day.
Okay.
So.
Aaron, can we go through and approve everything besides award? Like approve plan specs, everything?
Oh, yeah.
Can
Yeah,
that be
because you
done?
need the approval of everything.
Yep,
Okay,
besides
so we'll
the
just
award.
modify
Yep.
to remove awards.
Yep.
So the amended, we'll need an amended motion then.
So we're just gonna close the public hearing at this point.
Yeah,
and
close the
move
public hearing, but
forward
when
with
we get to when we get to that other thing, yeah, that's a good point.
Yep.
Good catch. So,
So we don't need to go through this then.
no, we can, go ahead
We wanna
and close that all
close it,
out,
okay.
but
And
then
when we
instead
get to
of,
this one,
I
we're gonna change this,
scratch
okay.
that out.
So we're gonna do the proposed plan specs.
And
but-
not accept.
And not awarding the bid,
Yeah.
okay, okay. Do we have any written comments or objections on file? No. Do we have any comments or objections from the general public in attendance this evening? There being no more comments or objections on the proposed plans, specifications, form of contract, estimated cost, and bids received for the construction of the Eagle Ridge Addition, Phase 2, I will close the public hearing at 6:14 PM. Under new business, we need a motion to approve a new 5-day Class B beer permit for Miller Mulligan doing business as Midwest Polka Fest, September 4th through 9th.
Let me just add something here. Mary is looking for more volunteers with this event. The folks involved are having a hard time doing many of the tasks with Polka Fest. You know, it brings in about 2,000 people every year. They have trimmed it back a little bit, just knowing how difficult it is for them to run that event. But I would urge anybody who's interested in getting involved. Obviously, a great event, good to bring folks into town, so.
Would you approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next, we need a motion to approve a new Class C liquor license, outdoor service area, and Sunday sales privilege for Cinco de Mayo, Humboldt Incorporated, doing business as Cinco de Mayo. Everything in order?
Yep. Everything's good.
So move.
Second.